providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Caregiver Crossing. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time joining us, here's what it is. Caregiver Crossing is a show brought to you by Joyce House, presented in partnership with Cardon and Associates, and we're here with you each week to talk about all things caregiver and caregiving. My name is Terry Stacy, along with the lady to my left, or to the right.
Stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. I'm Tina
McIntosh.
McIntosh.
Hello. Did you see how professional I was?
No, it was
I
good.
got through the whole thing, and then I forgot which side you're on.
Well, then we all looked at the chair to your left, and no one's there.
Nobody's
but
sitting there right now.
I'm to your right. I'm Tina McIntosh, and then we've got Noah,
I'm right across from her. I am Noah.
and we're in the Joy's House studio.
Yeah, those two are from Joyce House. Tina is the founder,
True story.
and I don't really know what Noah's title is.
I'm actually the advancement manager of Joyce House.
Oh, that's so fancy.
I know. He's fancy.
I love it. Well, anyway, he produces the show, and we are really thankful for him and Tina Bina, and thankful for you for tuning in each and every week. Or if this is your first time, I hope you like what we're doing. We're going to start off. It is a new year, obviously, and Anderson Cooper. If you were watching CNN and watching New Year's Eve with Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen, not sure if you did or if you stayed tuned to a part of it. It gets a little crazy from time to time, but there was a really important moment that I think spoke to a lot of people that were watching. And I think you tell me what you guys want to do. Noah's the one who really brought this to our attention. So what do the two of you want to, how you want to handle this story? Because it really is a beautiful thing. And it's not, I think, just for that night. I think every night as it gets dark.
Yes, absolutely.
This could relate to you if you're a caregiver.
I think I'll give a little bit of background information, and then I did print something out that I would like Tina to share with us. So, as Terry was saying, on New Year's Eve, Anderson Cooper spoke very openly about his grief and how moments that are meant to feel celebratory, like New Year's Eve, like Christmas, can also bring loss into focus for our loved ones. He shared how holidays have a way of reminding us who is missing, even when life keeps moving forward. What makes this really important and especially meaningful is the way that it happens along with Andy Cohen. And actually, he has a tradition of actually getting his parents to come on the broadcast every New Year's Eve. He chooses to share that moment with them very publicly. I mean, just getting to end the year with your parents on the broadcast, getting to share that moment with everybody in the world. And together, these moments show how honest caregiving is in our reality. One reflects on absence and grief, and the other reflects on connection. So I did print something out for Tina to read for us, just a little bit of the sentiment that Anderson Cooper shared.
I'm going to paraphrase it because he said a lot of really great things, but basically he started volunteering to work on New Year's Eve about 20 some years ago. And he did this, he says, because since I was a kid, I've actually dreaded this night. And I think a lot of you might be out there watching it through different eyes than some of the people in this crowd. And so on December 31st, 1977, he shares this. I watched this ball drop at home with my brother Carter. I was 10. My dad was in the hospital. We knew it was bad, but not how bad. I remember this night all these years ago watching Dick Clark and all the shots of the crowd that you're seeing right now, all the merriments and the people together, and I never felt so alone. My dad died 5 nights later, and my brother 10 years after that. He says that he mentions that to everybody who was watching at that time because a lot of people, he says, were watching and they might see all the crowds and the merriments and they feel alone, even if there are others around. And so maybe he says it's someone that's sick, somebody who's already crossed over. We know virtually nothing about, what happens at that moment. We long to see them or hear them or feel them again. And maybe it's your dad who's died or your sibling or your mom or your spouse or your partner or your child. Maybe it's a beloved animal. It's your job, your health, or your hope that's gone. And what he said at that moment that was really beautiful is he said, I just want you to know that in the midst of all of this, which is not really real, what you are feeling is. And you're not the only one. So you might feel alone tonight, or you might feel alone listening to this right now, but you are not alone.
Thank you, Tina. I think that is really important for everybody to hear. We at Caregiver Crossing are here for you, and others in the community are here for you as well.
You're right. You're right. Thank you for pulling things out that are, emotional too. And I think you said something at the very beginning about how they're two perspectives of caregiving. One through the loss, which we don't talk about enough as a society, that there is life after caregiving. Now, that's one of our categories in Caregiver Way, our online community for family caregivers. And if you don't know anything about that and want to, email me at tina@joycehouse.org. But we don't talk about that, right? And when we're caregiving, we all know, sitting in this room and many of you listening, we give everything we have to caregiving and kind of shut off other parts of our lives, whether it's work or it's friends or family or self. And then when our person dies, we wonder why we've never felt so alone. And I mean, isolated feels like a different word than alone. Our mental health suffers, our relationships suffer.
I think
So,
even if you have family and close ties with people, I think you still feel that aloneness.
yeah,
I think about my mom, and I think, even though she's got family with her all the time, there still is there has to be that loneliness.
yeah.
You think about that for your future too. As I age, you do think, what would it be like to be without your partner, or somebody that you've loved for 50 years. David and I are at 40-year anniversary, and you think about that as you watch it. I mean, listen, my day and age, again, my age in the 60s now, everybody I know is passing away,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Seems like every week or two, I'm getting a note that, oh my gosh, such and such passed away. And so that loneliness, especially at the holidays, my dad died at Thanksgiving, and especially at the holidays, there's still that with among the laughter and everything, and there's still that void. There's still that
I
void.
had a girlfriend that we would invite every year for the holidays, and she would decline and said, I just never feel alone as I do in a crowded room.
I understand that. I
It,
do
it
agree
makes
with that.
sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, Noah, how about you? How have your holidays, I guess, shifted since you've been a caregiver or loss has become a part of your life?
Oh man, I think they've changed a lot. I mean, when my dad passed away when I was pretty young, we had to change all of our traditions. I mean, my dad was such a big part of waking up early on Christmas and making the food on Christmas Eve and watching the ball drop and going outside with my dad to bang pots and pans when it rang to midnight.
Yeah.
The one really important
That's
thing
so fun.
that I think has shifted is I'm gonna have to be quick here. We do a
You're
little
okay.
crossword puzzle that my dad created when before he passed away. He had made this crossword puzzle, and now every year we all get to do it together on Christmas.
He created the
Christmas Eve.
crossword
He
puzzle.
did. He created it, made all the words in the key, created fake words in it to mess with
Oh.
everybody's head.
Big John still screwing with everybody's
Yes,
system
yeah.
here. That is really
I think
cool.
they've changed a lot, but maybe for the better.
Here's what I think though, knowing you, how much you get to take of those memories and moments with your dad, and now you get to take them into the next phase of life. And you're going to do that so brilliantly because of the example he set. And not trying to take
That's
away any of
right.
the emotion. I know we've got to take a break here. That's really cool.
It really is. It's a very
Yeah.
special moment we all get to share together.
Thank you for sharing that. All right, we're going to have to take a break here on Caregiver Crossing. We want to thank, we got to do this really fast, but you want me just to thank Cardon?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cardon, sponsors, supports, partners with the show. We are so grateful for who they are, and they've got communities throughout our state helping us as we age and are moving into facilities and need extra care. So Cardon, I promise we're going to do a better job in the next one, but we're thankful for you. Stick around. We'll be right back on Caregiver Crossing.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing, everybody. I'm Terry Stacy along with Tina McIntosh. Noah is here with us producing today's show. And also joining us is former Wisconsin Governor Marty Schreiber. He's the author of a story called My Two Elaines, Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer's Caregiver. And Marty, we are so happy to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, it's my special privilege. Thank you, and thank you for all you do to help people on sometimes the most difficult journey. So thank you for that.
You know this journey very well. Will you tell us about Elaine?
Well, yes, the name of my book is My Two Elaines, and so there are Elaines. The wonderful girl I fell in love with when I was a freshman in high school in Latin class,
Oh,
and married, and 4 children, 13 grandchildren, and my friend, my advisor, my companion, the everything that I could have ever wanted to attain in life. She helped me, and I think one of her greatest legacies was if I would run for office and if I would lose, she would never let me feel defeated. And I carry that with me and want to try and share that with other people. And that sometimes we are going to be having things that are so painful and sorrowful, uh, but we can never allow ourselves to feel defeated because there can always be hope. So, well, that was the first Elaine. The second Elaine, when she was about 63, 64 years of age, began to get lost driving to and from places she was going to and from for the last 10 years. And a great cook, and sometimes would mess up her recipes so badly that she would cry, and she would tell me stories that I just couldn't believe that ever happened, and they didn't, of course. And so that was the beginning of the second Elaine. And the second Elaine lived for approximately 20 years. I was her caregiver directly in my home for half of that time, and then through assisted living memory care for the last portion. And so it was a journey that I was on, and I was so ignorant of this disease in the beginning and so ignorant of things I could have done better. And that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because I thought I might be able to take what I had learned painfully and share it with other people and help caregivers learn and cope and survive. And now maybe even thrive after the journey has completed that one portion.
Marty, it's Tina. I love that you recognize that she, same Elaine her entire life, and yet there are these different versions of her as you go throughout. And I am curious as you talk about her. First of all, I cannot get over the image of the two of you as freshmen in high school and
right.
falling in love. It just, there's something when you said that that just gave me
Yeah.
goosebumps. Um, I hear you and the driving and the cooking and that, but for you, what was that reality like as a husband? Because I don't know that we always get enough of that story. You were witnessing something changing, probably wanted to deny some of it along the way. Like what was that experience like for you at that time?
Well, men, men by nature, uh, we could be a lot smarter. You know that, don't you? And we could be less selfish, and we could be less egocentric, and less self-assured, and less independent, and less confident, and all of those male attributes in the beginning took away from Elaine and my life together, took away moments of joy that we otherwise could have had. And that arrogance that we men feel caused some significant health impacts on my life. And also, well, here is what I learned. um, I learned that although I'm strong and intelligent and capable, and what I need to do is understand, as there were two Elaines, there also had to be two Martys. And if your name is Mary, there has to be two Marys if you're going to be a caregiver. If your name is Tom, there has to be two Toms. So the first Marty, arrogant, selfish, the He-Man. But then you have to understand that you have to make a compassionate transition into being a caregiver. And and to do that, it takes some intelligence, it takes some courage, uh, but it also takes some smartness, some human understanding, some compassion, and you just have to determine you are going to make that transition into being a compassionate caregiver. And and so, for example, the first Marty, go for a walk with Elaine. That's what the doctor said. Exercise best. I mean, walking best exercise for the. So come on, Elaine, a half an hour. She would say, "Let's look at the beautiful." No, we don't have time for the look at the beautiful flower. We have to get this walk in. And so the first Marty, so concerned about outcomes and about making sure that things are right and making sure she has the right clothes on at the right time. She says the right thing at the right. That's a lot of baloney because
Mm.
the second Marty understands that what we must be doing to help our loved one live their best life is to join their world. and that means that we're going to have to leave our old world behind, and not that we're going to be forsaking what we once were, but what we are going to do is add on to the quality of the person, of the human being we are, by making sure that we understand that we have to transition to be a compassionate caregiver.
With us is former Wisconsin Governor Marty Schreiber, and he is the author of a book called My Two Elaines: Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer's Caregiver. And Marty, when that journey began, I think you said that the second Elaine was about a 20 years, I think you said. And so in that 20 years, when you're first given that diagnosis and you're now a caregiver, did when it comes to Alzheimer's, was that all there was to it at that time? This is what she's got. And then as the disease progressed, were there new medications brought in, or was I'm wondering about medically if it had changed, what they were able to do to help her.
Oh, there, to my knowledge, even as of this date, so we go back with Elaine passing some years ago, maybe 25 years ago. 25 years ago, Alzheimer's could not be cured or prevented, and almost the same is true of today. There are some medications that are extremely expensive and questionable as to the effectiveness and timeliness of them all, and so it's basically the same. And one thing, however, is hopefully we're a little bit smarter today than we were 25 years ago as it relates to how it is best for us to help our loved one live their best life possible. But we did try some Numenda and Aricept in the beginning. It's supposed to delay the symptoms. Whether it did or not, I don't know. But as we all know, when you get a terrible diagnosis, you'll try anything
Yeah,
that anyone recommends in the hope and prayer it might work.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, Marty, you talk about that hope and prayer, and so many people that we come across at Joy's House and here in Caregiver Crossing, they're often just ridden with guilt. And so we're going to have to take a break here in just a minute. But what would you say to someone who feels like they're falling short, even when we know they're doing their best?
I'd say they have to understand they must transition to be a compassionate caregiver. And a compassionate caregiver is intelligent and knows, one, there's a loving God and a forgiving God, and also to understand that you are doing your best. And what makes it so challenging is you think you have it mastered, and the next day you wake up and it's a new day all over again because the disease has progressed. And so I urge caregivers to understand the quality of person that they are now, what they are giving of their life and of their soul and of their heart to help their loved one. And they can take great pride in that, not arrogant pride, but self satisfaction in knowing what you're doing is helping your loved one live their best life possible. That's the best and the only thing you can do. And rejoice in that.
Amen. You are hearing the voice of former Wisconsin Governor Marty Schreiber, and also the author of My Two Elaines: Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer's Caregiver. He's going to stick around with us here. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment with Caregiver Crossing.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with the amazing Cardon and Associates. We're here every week to share support, education, and hopefully a good laugh for caregivers across Indiana. To learn more about Joyce House, explore caregiver resources, and hear past episodes, visit joycehouse.org. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing.
We're back on Caregiver Crossing. Tina McIntosh, Terry Stacy, Noah Taylor, and we are joined by the former governor of Wisconsin, Marty Schreiber, and he's a lot of things that are really positive. One of them is the author of My Two Elaines: Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer's Caregiver, just filled with words of wisdom and, experience. And really, Marty, you've talked about a lot of things, one of which that we've heard you speak on is talking about the importance of asking for help. And we know that's not always as easy as we would like it to be. What would you say to somebody who's caregiving right now and needs to maybe ask a little bit more?
There's a few things. Number one, to understand that to ask for help means you're not giving up. if you're surrounded by an enemy and you know that you can't do anything possible to survive and you do nothing, that's giving up. We can't do that. And so to ask for help means you're not giving up. And also, it's a matter of courage. And again, it's what our goal. You know, we can't beat this disease right now, but what we can do is make a determination to help our loved one live their best life possible. And we do that by trying to help their atmosphere, their situation be as positive as possible. And and caregivers understand you have a 40% chance of dying before your loved one if you don't take care of yourself.
Mm.
40% of caregivers die before their loved one due to stress related illness.
Wow.
And so why do you so when my children finally sat me down and they said, Dad, you've got to do something. You've got to do something and help mom better by assisted living because we don't want to lose both parents. And caregivers understand that by not asking for help, I think you're being selfish, to be very direct and candid, and you're just simply not understanding the positive impact you can have not only as you take care of your loved one, but also your children, your grandchildren, your friends, everyone else in your sphere of contact. And if you don't take care of yourself, what happens? Well, you get tired. You get irrationally irritable. You begin to yell at people that you never yelled at before. You're more impatient with your loved one. All those kinds of put on your mask first. You know that oxygen mask that pops from
Yeah.
the top of the what do
Yeah.
they tell you? Put your mask on first. Well, you take care of yourself. Let's get with it. Let's understand you cannot be so selfish and arrogant as to think you can do it for yourself when you have a 40% chance of dying before your loved one. Now, come on.
Wow.
We got to do it.
Marty,
We got to do it.
you mentioned that stress, that number, that 40% that you talked about, that 40% of caregivers that will die before the person they're caring for because of stress related illnesses, and men in particular, I know carry stress harder than women do, or carry more stress than women do. And you, as a male caregiver, um, can you kind of help us with maybe some ideas on what some of the challenges or patterns you've seen among men caring for their loved one?
Well, you hit it on the head. As far as men, not wanting to ask for help, and I try and visit and counsel men to understand, you know, the goal is to help our loved one live their best life possible. And in order for that to happen, the male or a caregiver, particularly the male caregiver, has to live their best life possible as well. Because if not, how are they going to properly take care of their loved one? Again, if you don't take care of yourself and eat right and sleep right and get enough exercise, all of those things wear on your body, and you're just so more ill-equipped to not only handle and work with the challenge of caregiving for your loved one, but to be a grandparent or a dad or a friend or a brother or a sister. And so, uh, please, caregivers, understand we can talk rough and tough to you and say, you really go out there and do it, or we can just appeal to your compassionate side, your intelligent side, your common sense side, and say, hey, you're no good to anyone if you're all busted up emotionally and physically because you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, Marty. So again, you are hearing the voice of former Wisconsin Governor Marty Schreiber and the author of My Two Elaines: Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer's Caregiver. Marty, when he talked last segment about falling in love with his wife as a freshman in high school and then going on to live a beautiful life together and 4 children, 13 grandchildren, and then her Alzheimer's diagnosis that was really the last 20 years of her life. You can hear the love in your voice, Marty, when you talk about Elaine. And I'm curious about what's maybe the most valuable lesson that she taught you about love or just about perspective in life.
It's the matter of if you lose something, you cannot allow yourself to feel defeated. As I may have mentioned, that if I would lose an election, It's a terrible, tough thing, as those who have lost elections know, or fired from a job and so forth. It's tough. Well, Elaine would understand the loss, but she would not allow me to feel defeated. And so we're going to get a terrible diagnosis maybe in our lifetime. Things we just going to tear our heart out, and we just simply can't allow ourselves to feel defeated, because there's always hope. There is always something that can be done, always something that can be done to help people improve their lives and live their best possible life. So, not ever allowing ourselves to feel defeated no matter the challenge.
We were talking earlier, Marty, about after after the loved one, after your loved one has gone, and what that next step is. And that sometimes is as challenging as actually going through the caregiving. That's a whole nother step. For you, any advice on getting past that then, after the one you've cared for so long has now gone?
Well, I'm working on that, and and it's been now 2.5 years since Elaine has passed, and what happens is what happens is you look back and you realize that on this journey, this Alzheimer's journey, you met people who are now your brand new friends,
Mhm.
and sharing and understanding more, and I, for someone who is a caregiver now, I know that it's oversimplified to say, look at it, when your loved one passes, it's going to get better. That's not what you really want to hear. But I think you can understand that there is learning, coping, surviving, but then also thriving. And that is then to understand the memories of this person who once was, but then to understand now this world sort of opening up, because I think you're more sensitive, you're more caring, you're more understanding, you're more aware. And I think that makes you, in a sense, a better person to not only be a better parent or grandparent or brother or sister, friend, a neighbor. I think it just so I guess what I'm saying there is, we can't allow ourselves to feel defeated. There is hope after we have completed that part of that Alzheimer's journey.
Well, Governor Schreiber, we are so grateful for your time. If you're wondering where you can get a copy of his book, My Two Elaines, Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer's Caregiver, you can find it anywhere you find your books. And it will be a great read. I know you have changed somebody's life by being here today and by all the speaking engagements you've done. And we just want to say thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your experience with the rest of us to make us better. So thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure and my honor. And again, thank you for all you do to help people live their best lives possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marty. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We're here every week to share support, education, and hopefully a good laugh. To learn more about Joyce House, explore caregiver resources, and hear past episodes, visit joycehouse.org. All right, everybody, stay put. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after the break.
We're back on Caregiver Crossing. Tina McIntosh, Terry Stacy just ran out for a second. I think she might come back. And then Noah Taylor here. First of all, great job getting Governor Marty with us. He was fantastic.
He was lovely. I mean, I loved hearing him share about how much he loved Elaine and, you know, just everything that he's learned from his caregiving journey, and then also what he's learned from after Elaine has passed away. I feel like there's so much valuable information that we could have learned from Marty there.
You know, the one thing that really stuck with me was the different versions of your loved one require different versions of you. I need to hear that.
Yeah.
So that was really good for me to hear. I hope it was good for you all too. Terry did decide to come back into the room. We're going to keep going and we're going to see if she can jump in because she's a professional.
I had to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to lie. I had to go to the bathroom.
Well, tell everybody about it. We're recording. So, you know,
I'm fine with that.
They're here. They're right here live with
part
us.
of my family.
Everybody goes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Everybody poops.
What do you want to talk about?
Young caregivers. These are a few things we want you to settle into. Ava, she's a young caregiver who helps care for her grandmother who's living with dementia while she's going to school and has many of the responsibilities that even adults find challenging. There's Callum, who's a young caregiver who supports his mother. She's living with bipolar disorder. His brother is autistic and often becoming the emotional steady point in his household. Nina, she became a young caregiver after her family was involved in a serious accident, and her life shifted, daily without any kind of notice. These are all young people who identify as caregivers, and they share their stories publicly to help others recognize the role sooner and to realize that they're not alone. And so it's important that we talk about them. More and more younger, I wouldn't even say adults, children are caring for parents or they're caring for grandparents. And so it's something that we want to talk about today. First of all, think about a kid doing this. They don't have sports after school. Some days they can't even make it to school or make it on time or make it at all. Social plans, all the things that go out the window when someone that young is caring for a grandparent. Can you imagine being that kid?
I can't, because I'll tell you, the mental health among our young people these days is not good. It is not good. And it's unfortunate. And it's a culmination of so many things, COVID and then social media. And I'm glad that there is a place called youngcaregivers.ca that is open for them to have, so they don't feel alone. Because that's the one place young people do go, is social media. So now they've found a home, perhaps in that.
Because I imagine a lot of these
spot.
kids feel like they're alone. Like, I'm the only one
I'm
going
sure.
through
I'm
this.
sure they don't tell anybody. I'm sure that's something they keep inside of them.
Right? Or they're like, I got it. I'm okay. You think about the way that they have to learn how to read a room, read their loved ones, navigate social situations and the stresses that are way before they should have to do that. I know in my life, I've got some people who have had to age faster than most children their age. And one of the things that drives me crazy is how many people will say, oh, they're just so mature. I mean, look at them. They're just navigating things and, they're just so mature for their age. And I'm like, is it mature or is it survival?
Yeah, I think it's survival. Ultimately, it is just not fair to these kids that they don't get to be kids. Like you were saying, they don't get to go to the after school sports. They don't have time to do their homework. They don't have time to play with their friends. I think it's unfair, and it's very brave of these young kids. I mean,
but even that, is it brave, or sometimes is it just what you have to do, or the only thing you know to do? You don't even know you have an option.
Yeah.
You're just surviving.
And I wonder, how new is it?
It can't be new.
It can't be new.
But so let's go back to and we don't have time to do this whole thing, but back in the 1800s,
right?
There
Let's go back to Laura Ingalls Wilder.
But there was no concept of children, and so there was no concept of childhood, I guess is the right way to say it. Like, kids were just miniature adults. They did all the things that were needed, including caregiving. The 1900s, we started to look at child psychologists and pediatricians and schools and libraries and playgrounds and developmental stages. Nobody cared about that in the 1800s. Like, are you feeling okay today? Well, get up and go milk the cows, or work in the mine, right? Whatever it was. And then we started to get real sensitive about kids' developmental stages, and I think sometimes our pendulums maybe swing a little far.
I agree.
So I don't think it's new. I think you're right. This has been happening forever, but now we look at it through a different perspective of how does it influence these children
as they grow,
and it doesn't feel fair. Right?
It's not fair.
Yeah.
No.
But it's not fair, but it is. I mean, but it's a part of being in a family.
That's right.
A unit.
Yeah.
It's part of what you do in a family unit, or at least in my belief, it is part of your role.
I think, Noah had said something earlier of like, what would it mean for a young caregiver to hear that their role is seen and supported? That, I think, is everything. I'm not the only one that's going through this. I feel different now.
Yeah.
And to let them know that they're doing a good job too.
Mm-hmm.
I think is important. Just somebody to share that sentiment with you really means a lot, I think.
And you still need a childhood.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in a kid has to be a kid, because if not, it comes back to haunt you. It might be 40 years later, but it's going to come back to haunt you. So, I would say if you're listening and you know somebody who is a caregiver, a child who is a caregiver for someone, please help them find the spaces and places where they still get to be a kid, whether it is an after school sporting event or it's going to be with friends on a weekend or whatever it is. But I really, I mean, I don't know, agree, disagree. Kids need to be kids.
I absolutely agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Unfortunately, in some spaces, it just isn't. It isn't. Can't. And it in some places, it just doesn't work for a kid.
Yeah.
This is what they're expected to do.
Yeah, I think the really hard part too is where I found these stories at youngcaregivers.ca. Many of these kids are even as young as 9 years old.
Oh,
So,
my
so
goodness.
Ava, Callum, and Nina are all under the age of 15. I believe 13, 11, and 9, respectively. So they are all very, very young, taking care of their loved ones.
They're babies.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to, once we leave here in a second, I'm just going to say a prayer for these babies. And, you know, we just always need to be thinking about what can we do? How can we be a part of the solution? If you have any ideas about that or anything else related to the show, you can email me at tina@joycehouse.org. I know we've got to go. You want me to do this real fast?
Let's do it.
Cardone and Associates, we want to thank you for everything you do in your 20 communities that you own and operate or manage in the Midwest and your over 40 years of experience. We adore you. We're here because of you, and we're grateful. Have a great week. We'll be back next week on Caregiver Crossing.